What's up, YouTube? Devin Midrow here, coming at you live on camera. 71 degrees. Another beautiful day, another blessed day, and as usual, no set agenda. You know, when I get on camera, so just gotta figure it out and make it up as you go. But usually, what happens is I will. I guess, you know, whatever is at the forefront of your mind, right? I try to think for strategically and a little more long term. I keep trying to practice that, more or less. I can't say that I'm doing it, but I'm practicing that, just because the advantages it has when you plan for, you know, whatever endeavors you have going forward. You know, that makes such a huge difference. Ultimately, when you're able to kind of anticipate those things, right? I mean, you're not going to predict everything with 100% accuracy. I mean, I don't know anybody who does. If you do, then let me know, and I would. It would be great, right? You could use them for all kind of stuff, right? I mean, you know, you could place bets on things, you could invest in certain companies, and, you know, the list just goes on and on, right? So, but yeah, the biggest focus is really what's right in front of you. You know, that's pretty important, right? Like, what's the next step? But also, you know, planning a few steps after that, and even further if you can. So, why is this such a big deal? I mean, you know, what's the point? Is it that important to be able to plan? You know, is it? You know, or you just kind of roll with the punches and just kind of, you know, live life and let things kind of happen how they happen, right? I found that, I mean, I've heard, I don't know who said this, but if you failing to plan is planning to fail, right? So, simple as that sounds, it's very profound, and it's one of those things in life where if you just kind of like a tumbleweed in the wind and you're just kind of going whatever direction the wind's blowing you, life is going to be very unpredictable, right? And you may not get, and probably more often than not, you won't get the desired outcome that you're looking to get. So that is something to consider. Another factor is going to be that, I mean, just focusing on the day ahead of you is probably what I want to kind of roll back to in this situation is. And right now, school is a big focus, right? School's a big focus, and that's definitely something that I have been strategically. I don't actually have a schedule per se, like that. I guess you could say I've kind of mentally created the schedule, and what I mean by that is I know when I have time, focus time especially, to do the work, and it's typically going to be on the weekends and the mornings. So I'll get up early in the morning. I know in that early morning everybody's sleeping. Wife goes off to work pretty early in the morning, and I have that, you know, hour to 2 hours of maybe even 3 hours if I get up a little earlier, of time to allocate towards that, right? And that's what it comes down to, right? And I'll gauge, you know, how far I am ahead in my assignments and classwork based on, you know, how much time I need to put into it to make sure that I can get it done. Right? Very important, you know, very important factor. And you know what? Another thing too is I wanted to kind of point out is when it comes to college, I don't know what it is about college that I'm more dedicated to that than other things that I've done. Well, I say I don't, but I do know, actually. I'm pretty confident in this. And, you know, just looking at it in a sense, it's financial. Like, we know how much money it costs to go to college, right? So when you got a lot of skin in the game, you tend to put more effort into that which you have a lot of skin in the game with, right? So because I got thousands and tens of thousands of dollars in this degree, you know, it's a motivational factor, knowing that if I don't get the grades, they're still going to charge me for the class. That's a big deal. You know what I mean? That's like, I'm like, whoa, man, I'm going to get charged for this, you know, I don't know how many, you know, $1,000 something bucks for the class. And if I don't pass it, that's a waste of money, and a lot of money too, and a lot of time, because I got to retake the class probably the time factor is even worse, right? Because you got to retake the class, and that's at least well, depending on how long the class is for you, but for me it's about a little over a month, right? Because it's just a very condensed, it's a lot of work in a short period, but you got to learn fast and learn quick, but it works. And that's what it comes down to. Another thing too, I wanted to kind of delve into. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm going to go with it. And it is, I think sometimes, I've heard this saying, and I don't know who said this either, but maybe I made it up. I don't know. I don't know how, some of these could have been just me creating some of these things too, but it goes, sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. Sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. And what that means is, I would say, a lot of times, if you're going really fast, you might miss some steps. You might miss some critical, pieces of information or whatever it is that you're going after that could, have the potential to, you think you're going fast, but you're making mistakes and you got to constantly circle back and you got to go and correct them and keep making those corrections. It actually, if you look at it and you really kind of, zoom out and look at the big picture, it's a lot of time, a lot more time than, well, it could be a little more time depending on what it is, right? But more often than not, it's gonna be more time than you think you're spending doing something along those lines, right? So that's kind of the goal right there, is just to kind of push that out there. I think that's the biggest piece is really just slowing down sometimes in life. I know it's hard because life is just constantly moving, and if you slow down, life doesn't slow down, right? It just keeps on going at the pace it's going to go at. But I really think that there is a lot of power in clarity and peace of mind, especially when it comes to other people too, like family members, right? I think a lot of times we're so stressed out because all these things are happening, and sometimes you can't slow down. Sometimes the deadline's there and you just got to push, right? And that's kind of why I touched on school initially, because there's some hard deadlines. Granted, you can get late work in, and if you got late work, they'll probably dock you some points. If you message the instructor, they say, hey, we might be able to give you a break depending on what the reason is why it's late, right? So there's some flexibility there too, right? So you could submit late work if you take the time to send that message to the instructor. Or that's just an example, right? There's so many other scenarios in life that people go through. You got kids, you got sports for the kids, you got the schooling for the kids, you got your own personal things, maybe you got house projects that you're working on, and you want to push through and get it done. And unfortunately, what I found personally, and I've seen this a lot in other relationships, is that you got to be in alignment with the people you're working with for whatever you're working on it with. I don't even know if that made sense either, but I think you get the point. And it's something where I think it's so critical to take the time and really talk it out. And I think more often than not, when it comes down to working together, just being in alignment with each other is so paramount. To have the same vision, and sometimes just working alongside each other and just seeing what the same thing that whoever you're working with is seeing, and doing those same things, right? And just modeling that can be so powerful. I understand that if you have teamwork and you can split up and you can do 2, 3, 4 different things at once, it can be great. But you gotta have great communication for that, and you gotta be in alignment with the people, and you really gotta have very clear instructions as well for that to work. So just want to paint that picture for you really kind of, sometimes you gotta slow down and speed up. That's really the objective of this. Life can be stressful. It will be stressful. It has been stressful. If you're probably watching this video, you're like, yeah, it's been stressful. But what I want to kind of preface with is, you can decrease that stress exponentially by taking the necessary time to get, measure twice, cut once. Let's just put it that way. Measure twice, cut once. If you measure twice, cut once in life, just try to take that lesson right there, that metaphor, if you will. You kind of put that down into anything you do in life. You just take a little extra time to double check, even triple check, depending on very effective. If you just go back and recheck it, it's like rereading a book for a second time, or rewatching a movie for a second, third time. There's things that you miss in that book or that movie that you didn't catch the first time around. And that's just the way we're built. So if we recognize that, we embrace that, the same way we embrace like the laws of nature, right? You know, I mean, gravity. It's like, you know, gravity's it's been around, it's not going anywhere. So if you know that's a factor, why not embrace that and make it work for you? You know what I mean? Again, find the things that you can control and insert yourself in those spots and make the most of it. Anyway, video's going a lot longer than anticipated, but not too long. I seem to average probably about anywhere from about 7 to 12, maybe 13 minutes, which is, I think that's not too bad, especially at double speed. It's not bad at all. That's my objective. It's like, I respect your time. I don't want to make a really long video unless I have something extremely important to talk about that requires that allotted amount of time. So anyway, I hope that this helps. I hope that this makes a difference in somebody's life. And if it doesn't, still I don't care, because I'm doing this all the way to 100, and then I'm going to reevaluate, and then I'm going to measure and gauge. But I need enough data to do that. So Road to 100 is definitely happening. So okay, that's it for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.